Namaskar. I'm Kumar Rakesh. Welcome to Global Governance News TV. Today we're going to discuss Indo US relation with new perspective. As we know, just US Secretary of State, Mr. Blinken in India, the 2-day visit. The US Secretary of State, Anthony J. Blinken, arrived New Delhi for his 2-day visit on Tuesday. The purpose of which to expand the strong and growing bilateral partnership between India and US with the Joe Biden administration, describing India as a leading global power and a key US partner in Indo-Pacific and beyond. Ahead of talks, Blinken attended a meeting with the civil society leaders in the capital, Delhi, today, where he has said the fundamental freedoms as well as the rule of law form the basis of any democracy. The Indian people and American people believe in the human dignity and equality of opportunity, the rule of law, fundamental freedoms, including freedom of religion and belief. These are the fundamental tenets of the democracies, like our Blink said. He also added that the face of the rising global threats, India and US, the world's two leading democracy, must stand together. So these so nice things. Blinken is expected to discuss the Indian interlocutors, the range of the issues overlapping mutual interest, including Afghanistan, Indo-Pacific relation, COVID-19 response, and cooperation. So I think the 7 points the Blinken visit, 2-day visit will mark the Blinken first trip to India after the assuming charge as US Secretary of State, and the third by a high-ranking Biden administration official after it came to power in January. Blinken is scheduled to meet the External Affairs Minister, NSA, Doval, PM, and all, and before leaving for Kuwait. And the Assistant Secretary of South and Central Asian Affairs, Dean Thompson, said the discussion will focus on the expanding ties in areas of security, defense, cyber, and counterterrorism. These are all the points they are focused. So we'll discuss in detail. So for this discussion, we have Mr. Ranjit Kumar, foreign affairs expert and analyst from India, and we welcome Ranjit ji. Ranjit has covered MEA long time, 3 decades. We have Mr. Ajay Sharma ji. He is a BJP think tank, as well as he is a SOCHM from the business side. Very important for the any relation, bilateral relation. We have Dubya Rai Jha ji. She is a advocate, Supreme Court of India, and political analyst. We have Vandana Jhingan ji from the Chicago, USA. She is a senior veteran journalist and social activist from the USA. We have Alok Lahad ji from Spain. He's senior journalist and social scientist and research scholar living in Spain for the European affairs that he will focus on. We have Dr. Dheeraj Kaul. And so I tend to say, living in the USA and doing research a lot on the COVID-19, and always, his heart living in India, but by mind is living in USA. And we have Leslie Tripathi. He is an author, connecting from Mumbai, and so the political activist and analyst also. And we have Rakesh Tiwari, editor-in-chief from Toronto Hindi Times Group. So today, the panelists start from Ranjit Kumar ji, how just today the Blinken visit, and then go accordingly. We have the panelists from USA and as well as India. Ranjit ji.
Well, Rakesh ji, Secretary Blinken's visit was long overdue, considering the fact that India and United States have already developed a strong partnership and already developing into an international dimension. This relationship is developing into an international dimension. The visit should have happened much earlier. The new Biden administration took the White House governance in the early January this year, and it took 6 months for the US Secretary of State to visit India, though the US Defense Secretary visited India 2 months ago. But the secretary level visit from the US State Department is happening for the first time. Today, the Secretary Blinken had a very useful interaction with the Foreign Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, and then he met the Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So, considering the fact that India and US are developing a strong strategic partnership, the Secretary Blinken's visit would go a long way in further promoting the bilateral relationship. The Prime Minister Narendra Modi had a very useful interaction with Secretary Blinken. During this interaction, Secretary Blinken invited Prime Minister Modi to visit White House for the bilateral summit between India and US, and also to attend the quadrilateral meeting between India, US, Japan, and Australia. So this would be the first in-person quadrilateral summit to be held, to be organized by US side in Washington, D.C., and Prime Minister Narendra Modi would be attending the summit. This is very significant that in a single year, the Quad is organizing two summits. This is very rare in international diplomacy. So the way the President Biden is giving importance to Quad summit and Indo US relationship, I think the Indo US relationship is going to further flourish and prosper in the 21st century. You know, the previous President Barack Obama had already described Indo US relationship as the defining partnership between India and US in the world international relations. So this relationship is going to flourish and prosper in the coming years. Secretary Blinken's visit has given a new push to this bilateral relationship.
Thank you, Ranjit. You already mentioned how just the Blinken visit is going on and how it went well. So I'll take the Vandana ji from just sitting in USA. How just you analyze the whole scene? This is the first visit the Blinken of the after the Biden took the chair.
My due respect to the previous speaker, honest to God, because as due the pandemic situation in India has been very alarming, so that's why the visit has been delayed, to be honest. It was not delayed for any other reason. We all know that it's still not open, the travel from US to India and India to US, because people, those who are only the citizens, they are only traveling to US. India cannot be ignored, first of all. Let this be, because the relationship started very cordial from the two previous administration. It was very warm, and then there are so many people, those who are working in the present administration also, from our community, Indian American second generation and the third generation. They are very much into a very big good positions, and diaspora is very engaging.
Please mute yourself.
We are
Accept the
doing
speaker,
our job
please. Yeah,
absolutely correct.
please.
Let it be because MEA gets their money to do their job. We are ambassadors. We are doing our job with sincerity. Let this be. This started when India needed during the nuclear, when it was a Kargil war, when it was the Pulwama time, when it is CAA, when it's Kashmir issue. We speak very positive about India, and we give them the correct position of India and the stand of India. And when India helped all the world, including US, hydrochlorine, we all know that. So US reciprocity about vaccine, we are still pushing more, and everybody is aware of it. And it will go further. We all know that. And we are looking forward for more and more cordial relationship, because as we all know that Anthony Blinken is already there. They are talking about Afghanistan. They are talking about, because we do have the same our issues, like the problems, like a terror, like, because India has been facing terrorism long before, because US faced it on September 11th, but we collectively can do it, because strategic partnership between the two democracies, largest and the oldest, that will strengthen much more, and I'm very positive about that.
Okay, thank you. So, Divya, actually, just talking to. Okay, no issue. So, Ajay Sharma ji, how do you just see the visit for on the aspect of the business promotion and the trade between India and US?
Uh, very good evening to all of you. Uh, my sense is that what we have seen is that from the time of Chief Minister Modi being denied a US visa to the President Trump being campaigned by Prime Minister Modi last year, India has seen a dramatic and phenomenal change between India and US relationship. And this primarily is because of the leadership we have in this country. There is no denial that we talk about freedom and equality and religious tolerance, but the fact remains that India and US have a lot of common grounds to cover. While we talk about religious diversity, we also are facing a lot of challenges within our own countries. And we are seeing, yeah, as my fellow panelists also did mention here, that we are seeing issues of terrorism. We are seeing kind of adventurism being indulged by our neighboring countries. So these are some of the areas which are very common for both US and India, besides being the most vibrant democracies and the kind of shared values we both countries have. However, coming to the Indo US trade, we also see that today the media has a very wide coverage about how the US is extending aid to India in terms of the vaccination drive, how the raw materials supply chain has been ensured, and the external affairs minister also acknowledged and thanked the President Biden for all his extended support. In India, there have been some kind of critiques and pseudo left liberals. I don't hesitate in saying that they were expecting some other different kind of outcome. But today, what we see is that with the leadership of President Biden and Prime Minister Modi, I think India and US relationship have become more and more formidable. Looking at the geostrategic scenario and the equation across the world, we feel that we have a lot of grounds to cover and we have a lot of common grounds. And therefore, I strongly believe that our relationship from here is only going to go stronger.
So nice. So on the political front, just I'll take the input from the Divya Rajhaji. The frequency of our visit India and US on political level has gone up significantly. High our visit in 2014, after the Obama visit 2015,
Yes.
then our Prime Minister visit 2015, and like that. So this is and after you have seen 2019 how just in Texas the historical program just by the Trump and Modi ji. So how you see
Yes.
the politically just how is growing and how do we do?
Politically, as Vandana ji rightly said, that India cannot be ignored by US at this stage. India being a powerful nation now, and moreover, the Indian community in US also, Indian Americans, they are doing so well. They are even if you take the okay, am I visible? I think there is
Yes,
some
visible
problem.
and audible. Go ahead.
Okay. So India and Indians, they cannot be ignored. We have seen, and definitely it is like reciprocal. There are bilateral trade ties there, and India has responded to the US. US has reciprocated. Even what we saw during the second wave of the pandemic, initially there was some delay, and then as the earlier panelists said, pseudo leftists, they started raising questions. Okay, we extended, we were depending so much on the US, but there was no help coming from the US. But that was in the initial stages. Later on, definitely the we got full support from the US. There were oxygen, there were other help coming from US. So we cannot say, as Vandaji said, we cannot be, India or Indians cannot be ignored at this stage by US. Be it, there was some apprehension when Biden came to power, that what will be the future of India-US relationship at this stage, because it was a general belief that Trump was very forthcoming. So, but fortunately, even with the change in the government, I don't think that it has affected India in a negative manner. The ties between EU and bilateral trade has really gone up in the recent years. And although that visit of Blinken's visit is a very significant step, Even before that, I think this is the third visit from US official to India. Earlier, although obviously Blinken's visit is very significant, but earlier also US Secretary of Defense, I think J. Austin, he also visited India. Prior to that, there was some US Special Presidential Envoy for Climate, John Kerry. He also visited. So this is the third visit in this year, in 2021. This is the third visit by US officials. So I think all these are very significant and very important developments to mark the relationship between India and US.
Just as you stated, the very remarkable visit of Mr. Blinken and for the betterment of the Indo-US bilateral relation. So I'll take Dr. Dhir's call. He's a medico basically, and from the medical profession, and he has done a lot for the to strengthen the Indo-US relation on just for the COVID, and he has done the research, a lot of research, and for that strengthening the relation and for the saving the life of people. So, Dr. Dheeraj, how does he on the health front? And on yeah, please.
Namaskar. Thank you for having me on the show. I think India-US relationships are very, very long, deep-rooted. We are one of the oldest democracy, and India is one of the largest democracy. And the right to raise your voice, the freedom is there. So we are very connected. I will just go straight, instead of political sense, to the science and healthcare, science and technology. As you know, around 30 to 40% of all the tech boom growth, which has come in US in last 20 years, and to be specific, because I do analysis for certain companies in the Wall Street as well, in healthcare sector and IT and artificial intelligence and machine learning, which are the new frontiers of technology. And in healthcare, we talk about genomics and gene mapping, data editing, and gene editing. So those areas are very 30% people, around 25 to 30% people to be specific, are from India. When I say from India, I mean people who went to undergrad and grad schools in India. So it's a very, very, if you look at it economically, the growth sector, starting from EV, charging stations, space mining, the forefronts of genomics, everything, you will see 30% of people who got their basic education from India is coming and uplifting this sector and being very innovative. And things have moved 10, 15 years ahead of what a layman in US or even in India would be noticing in 15 years down the road, because I'm directly connected. So we are in data mining. So there is a huge contribution of Indians. Now, why am I saying Indians? Because can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Because as all of you recall, the premier institutions in India, which is IIT, which was led by Jawaharlal Nehru, Indian Institute of Management, BITS Pilani, all these institutions are raised by the common taxpayers' money, which comes from a developing countries, hard-earned, in the number of people who pay taxes, direct taxes, indirect is a different ballgame, is very limited in India, as Prime Minister is encouraging people to pay more and more taxes. But with limited resources, India has really added an extra engine to the growth sector in US by providing the specialists. Now, the hardest thing in a growth is to give the right kind of education, which India has boosted. And people come here for their masters and PhD and further fine tune and get employed. I'm looking for a day when the growth sector people would have opportunities to grow equally fast as Silicon Valley provides them. And with the current leadership, the process they are going and acquiring, I feel it is not going to be very, very far from now. I'm pretty sure it's going to be in our lifetime, maybe 15 to 20 years down the road. So we will not see IITians who have paid basically 100 rupees a month, because 1 crore is spent by a farmer who's, not a farmer or a shopkeeper or a gazetted officer paying his income tax. And I would really appeal Government of India to have some kind of policy so that these people sponsor 5 or 10 people's education back home free of cost. Because when you are in India, you are an engineer, you graduate. I know many of them. You start with a 1 lakh salary. But once you do a master's here or you get transferred here from IIT, your package is $150,000, which is around 75 to 80 lakh rupees. So can you donate 10% back to IIT? Yes. Why are you not doing that? Because nobody is
This
enforcing.
this is a nice question. This is a
Yeah.
contribution to the
Second,
country. Yeah.
yeah. Second question I will raise,
By an
because
NRI. As
yeah,
Rakesh
because
Tiwari initiated from the Canada. Yes.
yeah, because last time I
Yeah.
checked, we are not Japan or South Korea, that we have or Dubai or Saudi, where we have a lot of money. We have two people. If you look at Indian education system, with all due
Yeah.
respect, there is a big revolution which people don't talk about, what has happened in healthcare, because I follow it very much. And Mr. Rakesh, you will be amazed to know the number of MD spots in India was artificially controlled low. Our population boomed like anything. People were left to, and no disrespect to Unani medicine, Ayurvedic
Okay.
or
Okay.
homeopathic
Yeah,
medicine.
I'll come on the health.
But
Health
there is
sector,
a
but
point
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
trying to make, which every
Please,
single
please,
person
please,
don't address.
please,
The point
please.
is the action Narendra Modi ji has taken in increasing the spots of MD. You will see the fruits of that in 10 years down the road. Same
So
thing
nice
with
of you.
DM.
Yeah.
Every
Yeah.
single
Yeah.
time I raise this point, every single person ignores it. But in healthcare sector, you have to appreciate what central government has done to increase that spots. And we, as physicians who use the Indian money to study in India, MBBS, MD names, come here, make $500,000 or $2 million, whatever salary, we should be liable to give something back to those people who are studying for free in India. This money drain has to stop at some point. Current government has taken steps, but a whole social movement has to start. And we have to pay our responsibility.
Agreed.
We have to
Agreed.
ask ourselves, what are we doing for India? Not the other way around. You
So
know what I'm saying?
nice.
What are we doing for
Yeah.
India? How many of you guys, like I gave my own, I will tell you at least every week, maybe 25 hours of interviews during entire COVID time. I literally had to swap the jobs because of this. The entire
Yeah.
2020, you see the dark
Yeah. So
circles,
nice.
entire 2020, I could not sleep. But can I compare it to Bhagat Singh or Subhash Chandra Bose? Not at all. So the point I'm trying to say is this is the same country which produced Subhash Chandra Bose and Bhagat Singh. And now look at the politicians. They are in there not to
And
serve the
also
country, but
Jagdish,
to make money.
also
It's the
also
same
JC.
people, same genome
No.
pool. I cannot understand this.
Dr. Dheeraj, same JC Bose and Dr. Hargobind Khurana also. So we should also not forget the
Right.
contribution of all
I'm
of
just
them. So
exactly,
Dr.
but I'm naming
Alok
few.
Laharji, just how just Dr. Dheeraj is so interesting and just very nicely points. He just to be noted. Every whoever just studied in India and just going to taking the job in USA and just they should contribute something. That is very nicely point. I think you should write to Prime Minister of India as well as I also
Sir,
convey
I
from
have
this
written at
program.
least 15 times. No response ever comes back.
Now,
Every single ministry.
I think no, I think you're now right, and you'll get the response. I assure you, as a journalist, and Rajit Kumar is also sitting here. He also assure you for the benefit of country. He's a very also senior journalist for that.
I
So
mean, what
no
does
issue.
it pay, what does it take to give 5% to 10% of your salary back?
Yeah, you are right.
Don't buy the Tesla. Don't buy the Tesla right now. Wait 3 years.
Alok, with this input of Dr. Dheeraj's call, how do you think, analyze, and how do you see the Indo-US relation in European perspective?
No, thank you so much, and good evening to everybody. What Dr. Kaul has said, I think it makes a lot of sense. And while limited only to people who've gone to USA, any NRI who is all over the world, he can contribute to this.
Exactly.
I think we need to do a more specific program on this. We've done already programs on diaspora, but limiting ourselves to the current visit of Anthony Blinken, which is very important because keeping in mind that very little time has passed by, and we'd seen earlier that the Defense Secretary, Mr. Austin, was here. Now Blinken is there, which obviously means that the upheavals which we had in the beginning of the Indo-US relationship, especially when President Biden came in, there were two upheavals which come to my mind right now. One was the apparent transgression of the Indian exclusive economic zone when their warships had come into Indian territory or territorial waters, better said. And second was the supply chain robustness came under loop in the beginning. Thank God that good sense prevailed, and of course the Biden government was under a lot of pressure from various sectors, and they took back, and they were reminded that India also helped US when they were passing through their first phase. And then they came up with a very fantastic package. They're talking about 200 million and whatnot, but India has not seen much because there is not much progress being done on compromising on the companies, the vaccine makers, on the waivers they are wanting from India. So we have not seen much of the vaccines coming in. But apart from that, if we analyze what are the major things which are discussed in the meetings which took place between our FM, Jaishankar ji and Antonio Blinken, I think they were first of the concerns which India had was a robust supply chain claim for making the COVID vaccine in India. That is very important for us because the number one problem, not only for India, but for the whole world is COVID. So once this has been addressed and fortunately, like US realized and Secretary Blinken also mentioned that, it's not that we don't make mistakes, we make mistakes, but if you correct the mistakes and there is transparency onto it, then we go forward. We forget that black patch which could be there or a very little thing and then. And the second thing I think they discussed, I had wished that they discussed it in more depth, was the climate change. Fortunately, in a change from what President Trump had, President Biden has come back on the tables for the climate change, and India and France were doing a fantastic job on this. And now with US joining in, I think it'll go a long way. And then, as Dr. Kaul also mentioned, that lots of students come to US from India, and they are into MDs or PhDs or whatnot. And this is happening in Europe as well. And one of the very important issues for us, especially keeping in mind that Indian students make up to more than 30 million, US dollars in that's a big income for the US and European universities. So just limiting myself to United States of America, they are facing a very big problem, which is the visa issue. So that was also on the table and on the cards, and it has been very nicely addressed. So one of those problems has been solved. And then, of course, the two major things which were discussed, I guess, were Quads is very important. And the moment you mention Quads, our eastern neighbor, it gets a panic because it's trying to equate it to something similar to NATO, and it has been clarified that Quads is not just a military alliance between Japan, Australia, and United States along with India, but there is more cooperation into this in Indo-Pacific and other supply chain routes which we have. We also have countries where we as Indians have allies there, and lots of diaspora thing is also there. So Quads is important, and Indo-Pacific is important to India, not because as a military alliance, which is a part of it, but it's not the whole thing. This has been very nicely clarified by FM Jaishankar ji. And of course, and why not, it was the most important probably, or which at least the journalists were more interested in, was Afghanistan. What I liked about what they've said is that, from a very blunt kind of a thing, which we said we were not here to make nations. Now, that was not very brightly put, in spite of the fact that it came from the president of the US. I think the way the two external affairs ministers they've done, they've said that we want peace in Afghanistan. That is first and foremost. And apart from that, it is, we want it by the Afghan people and for the Afghan people. Now, which is the basic principle of democracy. We're talking about what
Alok ji, as we know, when the two just big weeks talks and the two ministers from the two countries talks, so many things they talk and discuss. But the only things they highlight, whatever they mutually agreed. There are so many things, as we know. And as you say, in India, we say EAM, External Affairs Minister. So we don't say
FM is Finance Minister, exactly.
FM is Finance Minister. Finance Minister. No, not false. Just I'm just giving
no,
you
that's
input.
okay. Afghanistan could be very interesting, and what really amused me was that they also met the Tibetans.
Okay.
But in exile, this kind of,
that is also a
keeping
point.
things
That is
never. And very
Afghanistan.
interestingly, they didn't mention the C word, which is important.
Yeah. So nice. Just you in all right manner. Just you put all the inputs. Rakesh Tiwari ji. Rakesh Tiwari is the thinking and what is thinking from the Canada. How just a part of the US. So as we know, the Indians in normally, Ranjit ji will agree and all. If we have the visa of US, there is no problem. Just put the visa of Canada. So I think this is the relation between the US and Canada. So how would you just mention and think about this relation, the growing relation between the two big democracies?
Thanks, Kumar Rakesh, and all the fellow panelists who are here, and we are discussing an important thing. When we are talking about Indo US relation, Bharat and US relations. Let me say one thing. It did not happen just now. And when we are saying it, when we are talking about, and Vandana ji has mentioned, she said, well, nobody can ignore Bharat or Hindustan now. I will say that the basic things are, I can say it is started not today, a bit while back, when Atal Bihari Vajpayee has done the Pokhran Visport, at that time, and whole world was against it, but India has shown its might at that time. Bharat has shown its might, and later on, then the time comes about the Bush administration, they have acknowledged, and the Bush and the Manmohan Singh treaty, and how it went, at that time. Now, when we are talking about current, let me say this: US's policy has to be stable. I hope they have realized it, that who is their real friend and who is there for the democracy. Because so far so good, till even now, even I'm questioning now, they have supported military dictatorship in Pakistan and in India's neighbor. Means they were not very India friendly before. Let me say this. Now they have realized, at the same time, when we're talking about Jaishankar, when Foreign Secretary Blinken is in Delhi, at the same time Mullah Badr is in China. Is in China over there. So U.S. foreign policy, that's not our subject today, but we are talking about the
Indo-US relation.
Bharat and U.S. relationship. I hope they realize now, and they do not go here and there. As in the world, US's foreign policy will be in question, because when they make friendship, afterwards how they go flip-flop from here to there. I hope and believe that maybe administrations may come and go. After Republican, maybe Democrats will come. After Democrats, maybe Republican will come. But they should have steady and good relations with Bharat and Hindustan. That is very essential. And they have started it within the 6 months of Joe Biden administration. They were kind of shaky, and they were questioning Bharat for a lot of things, but now they are coming to the terms. And I just hope and pray they keep this thing, because they are not doing any favor for Bharat or Hindustan. They are doing favor for themselves, because they know that
this is whatever mutually agreed. What is your perception?
They are
what
doing
they are doing and not.
US's sake. They are doing it for US's sake. They are doing it. They are not doing
always in the bilateral relationship. Every country has own right to think about them, well, for their own interest. But what the two big wigs sitting there together for the mutual interest, and what is mutually agreed, that is called in the relation.
Well, I will say there I am durustayad. You came so far along. I will not say
So nice.
today. The Trump administration was also close. I will say Obama administration was also close, and that has started with Atal Bihari Vajpayee, with due respect to him, because he has
but sir, we should remember one point valid. Vandana ji is here, and Dr. Dheeraj Kohli is from America, and we all are sitting here. Biden was a vice president in Obama administration.
Yes, absolutely.
We should not forget.
No, we should not forget.
Very good relation with the Prime Minister Modi also that time. So now I'll take the Lesil Tripathi.
ताली दो हाथ से बजती है, एक बात याद
Yeah, you are right. Yeah, you're right. So Leslie Tripathi, she is author and political activist and very young. So how do you think culturally, not going drop? I think this is a network problem. So no
I
issue.
think still apprehensions that we had.
Yeah, Divyaji, please carry on, please.
The initial apprehensions that we had with about Biden with respect to Indo-US relations, I think that have already been like proved wrong. So we are in a comfortable zone now. That
I'm sorry, we are being too like jumpy in that. I will say that we should not be
jumping. No, actually, what you raised, Tiwari ji,
overwhelmed. Sorry.
Okay, Mr. Tripathi, please.
Such as India, which needs a regular supply of cheap oil to grow fast, or normalization of US-Iran relationship with India will really help. And initially we had doubts, like we knew that Trump government was friendly with Indian government, but we are seeing Biden government also has best interests of India, and it's a very exciting place for India to march ahead, and it's a good time for Indians in India as well as in US, because we are seeing very good time for Indo-US relationship prospering and having each other's back. So Biden has promised to rejoin the Paris Climate Accord, and this may help countries such as India in dealing with the massive challenges, both technical and financial on this front. So it's a good time. Fingers crossed.
Well, okay. So Ranjit ji, how just whatever Tiwari is raised, so nice, Mr. Tripathi, thank you. So how just Tiwari is raised and Divya is saying that there was some apprehension, I think, that was created, I think, you may correct me, that was created by some the part of the media. So I think, so how do you analyze, Ranjit ji, the earlier when Biden administration came in power, and so many stories just made and cooked? Ranjit ji.
Sorry, Rakesh ji, can you repeat? I could not hear.
My question is, there were some apprehensions just raised between the two countries' relationship, bilateral relationship, as the Biden administration came in power.
After Trump, yes, okay.
After Trump. Did you get it?
See, there may be apprehensions, but both the countries have common stake in promoting bilateral relationship. India occupies a very critical place in US strategy of promoting America's interest also. See, the way United States has started promoting this quadrilateral alliance of India, US, Australia, and Japan to counter China, India holds a very special place in that strategy. You see, immediately after the end of Cold War, United States realized the significance of India's strategic importance when the United States sent its Pacific Command Chief, General Kikliter, to India, and in 1992, the first ever maritime bilateral exercise, Malabar, was kick-started. So the relationship started building up since that time. Each successive administration in United States continued to promote relationship with India. And India also, there is all-round political support for promoting relationship with the United States. So both the countries, there is a political consensus in both the countries to promote relations. So whatever the apprehensions that might be, those apprehensions are being overridden by greater mutual benefits of promoting each other interest. See, United States want to contain China. India also wants to counter China. So on this premise, both the countries are coming together, and this is leading to formation of a quadrilateral alliance. And India holds a very critical place in US strategy of quadrilateral alliance.
Well, may I interject that you are saying that dushman ka dushman dost hota hai, kind of that relationship India and US?
No. My question is different, Tiwari ji. I'm not going to that direction, the discussion. My question is now, Vandana ji and Dr. Dheeraj call, sitting in USA. So now, do you think there is also same perception like the Trump administration, US is just an enemy, and don't like China? Now,
I'm sorry, I couldn't.
Whom you want to go first? Do you want me to?
Vandana,
Okay.
then after that, then
Okay.
Dheeraj. Yeah.
As we know about China, what it has done from 2019 till now, they are not accept, to be very honest. And Trump was the first president. Even the Indian government was not able to label China openly. Trump was the first one who labeled China responsible for COVID-19. He called it as a Chinese virus. So we
Yeah.
cannot ignore that. And this is what is important, because now continuity. Why is the continuity important? Because it is the need of both the countries. No, it is the need of the whole world, to be honest. But who has power? India has a power of people. US has like the power of technology, and we know Australia has joined hands. Japanese, they are ahead in technology over US, to be honest. So if they join hands, somebody has to show face to China. China has to admit it,
Quite theory.
and
Yeah, yeah.
China
Yeah.
has not yet admitted it, because there has to be pressure from all the angles. It is not about because who made China what China is today?
Yeah.
Number one, who made China what China is today? We all collectively to be blamed. Why India needed Chinese products? US didn't have manpower, India did have. But now, people in India, Diwali lights, you are having it from China, because you have to compromise somewhere. That
Now,
nationalistic
last 2 3
feeling.
years,
Yeah,
lot of this
that's
controlled
what
by
I'm
the
saying.
yeah,
So it
yeah.
has to come, like a media can do their job, but nationalistic feelings that we have to boycott. Because when China did an attack on
Doklam.
Doklam, we had a protest sitting here as an NRI. We went to Chinese consulate and did our
Yeah.
protest there to show them we will not take it. So that is that kind of message. And I am just saying, live and let others live, to be
Clear,
honest.
yeah. That is not a policy of China. Dr. Dheeraj call. The very just the so many speakers here, and so you have to also briefly how just Biden administration made a committee for the 90 days report just for about the investigation about China role in the COVID spread. How do you think that, and how do you analyze?
Yeah. So actually, if you
This
go
is your
back
subject
into it,
actually. This is
yeah,
your
that's
subject.
why
Yeah,
I'm gonna just
yeah.
use science. I'm not gonna
Please,
talk on
please,
political
please,
issue.
please.
So as per science, we had like around 51 scientists. Now it's actually more than 100. Very renowned scientists globally.
Yeah, yeah.
Even I have spoken at least 15 to 20, maybe more actually, occasions about the origin of virus and what's the theory on virus, where did it come. There is something like tweaking of gene editing, what happened, what not happened. That's a very long debate based on data and science. But
Yeah.
the problem was, you have to understand, there is an organization called WHO. I'm a member. Every single physician is certified by WHO. Unfortunately, WHO did not do its job well. That's why this whole situation started. And when I
Yeah.
say WHO, I don't mean a physician working for WHO. I mean the leadership of WHO, the top 20,
Well said.
50, 25 people.
Yeah, yeah, agreed.
I will not, because time is short. I'll not go into debates. I can
Yeah,
talk on
yeah.
long on this. But the point is, it's not a country's job to investigate which virus in which country is coming out. It's a WHO's wing. It's like a detective forensic pathology wing, which looks into where can be an outbreak. Can an outbreak start in India and spread globally? Absolutely, yes. So WHO's offices are there in India, many places actually. They're supposed to investigate and reply. Now you'll be shocked to know, if you connect, and I'm giving you statistics, connect the response of SARS outbreak and MERS outbreak. The response time of global agencies was 35 times faster than on COVID. 35 times, not 35%. 3,500% faster. Does that ring a bell to you? So look into that data. I mean, it has to be a separate debate. But the point I'm trying to say is, globally, millions have died. US till day, 650 people died today. Okay. In India, there are people dying. Hundreds of people are dying. COVID is not over. Just to let you know, there are people who are very sick in the hospital. They will die. We know this. There is a lag. And there is a lag in reporting. Every single country is hiding the data. Every single country, including US, India, you name it. India maybe 10
Canada.
times, US maybe
Well,
less,
that
Canada.
was a matter of another discussion. Who are
Yes,
hiding
yes.
that or
What I'm
not?
trying to tell
That
you
is
is,
also blamed from the different sides.
right.
So
But what
about the
I'm trying to
great
tell
thing
you
about
is,
the yeah.
what
Yeah.
I'm trying to tell you is, which you should know, although we are living in a capitalistic world, But we are responsible. Every single democratic country is responsible to the weakest person standing in the line. And who dies the most? That person.
Absolutely.
Who walked barefoot thousands of miles from Bombay. Those people who made the mansions of these billionaires, they were walking barefoot because they were kicked out. They could not pay. That was pathetic.
Dr. Dheeraj, if you see the report,
you know, we as a collective society will be answerable. We are answerable, and we should put our head down in front of those majdoors who were late to walk out. Nobody, not
Dr.
you, not
Dheeraj,
me,
Dr.
cannot
Dheeraj,
escape this guilt for rest of our lives. And I am in guilt in front of those people who died lack of oxygen in Delhi. Delhi administration, Delhi government should be brought to the justice. That's not okay. That's the problem. We forget very fast.
Dr. Dheeraj,
we have a very short-term memory. I'm sorry to say, we have a very short-term memory. Why is Health Minister of Delhi not? Where is Health Minister of Delhi? Why is media not going to his house to the Health Ministry of Delhi? Why is Health Minister of Delhi not resigning? You tell me, why are the CEO of the hospitals we charge 30,000 instead of 3,000 per bed behind the bar?
We are talking the Indo-US relation now.
I understand that, but you spoke about COVID. That's an area of my expertise, and I will expose.
Okay.
No, Delhi government should be tried for criminal negligence.
Yes, manslaughter.
Criminal
If you
negligence.
ask me,
Delhi government should be tried for criminal negligence.
it's a homicide. It's a genocide. What happened in Delhi?
My question is different to Dr. Dheeraj.
And they come on TV and talk. I can't believe this.
I support our doctor.
Nobody. Ask me, how many panelists have asked for resignation of Delhi health government? Zero.
Dr. Dheeraj, let me tell you.
They should be tried for criminal negligence.
How many people are trying to make the private hospitals accountable for extra money they have charged the middle class? Poor person could not go there. Rich person flew to Dubai. Middle class got squeezed like a sugarcane out of a sugarcane juice.
Dr. Dheeraj, just try to listen.
We are ashamed. My generation is ashamed of what happened in India. We are ashamed. I'm sorry to say that.
Dr. Dheeraj, my question is to you. How just briefly and told about the India and the India health system, do you have any raised question about the US administration? How many days had been done? And so many days on the trucks and so many lorries.
Well,
just
Mr. Tiwari will answer this. Mr. Tiwari,
I'm asking you a question.
Okay, ask me the question.
No. We are talking in Indo-US relation. So as well as you just try to focus the India, you should also focus about the US health system.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you. There
How
was
many
a
person died?
No, you are right.
I completely agree with Dr. Rakesh.
COVID today.
May I come?
I completely support Rakesh.
May I come in?
Rajaji, I'm coming to you, Ajay Sharma ji. My question is, Dr. Dheeraj, we are talking about the Indo-US relation. So we should be not impartial for any country. We should talk the judicially and with the all facts. Okay, we agreed. There was some lack of oxygen created by the media.
No, sir. No, sir. You are wrong here. Are you saying that the lack of oxygen was created by media?
Sir, I have all the facts and I can give you
all the facts. Yes, sir.
data.
Are you saying that? Are you saying
sir, please
that
don't
lack
derail
of
the
oxygen
topic.
has been created by
Tiwari ji, don't derail the topics.
No, you said it. Sir, that's why I questioned it.
See, Mr.
Some section of media.
Rakesh ji, Health Minister of Delhi will use your data and say it is created by media.
Sir, you are not talking about the health ministry of the US administration. Why not, sir?
Why? See,
you want to know?
This is not India versus
Rakesh ji, every single country, every single country. One second. Let me add. Every single country, every single country was fought. Let me finish. Give me 30 seconds, Vandana. Give me 30. Every single country was held by surprise. It was a surprise element. Every single country.
Dheeraj, blaming fingers. We should all collectively be blaming to China. No country, including US, Canada, England, Italy, no country has been in the world till today capable of dealing with this COVID-19. Let it be very honest. Why don't we admit that? Cook County, you said the data is speaking anywhere in the world. We cannot blame any nation. Let this be Prime Minister and all. There are negligence which has happened. We are talking about BJP government. We are talking about Congress government and the alliance government. Come on. What has happened?
We should not be talking about BJP and Congress when we talk about it.
Yeah,
this is not a political issue at all.
No. Second thing. We should be blaming. अगर जो चोर है उसको ही चोर बोलिए जब तक आप नहीं बोलेंगे तो तभी it will be keep diverting. Let this be honest.
But Vandana ji, do you know what was the statement of the president last year? $17 trillion deficit from a country. They're gonna put the
Dr.
bill,
Dheeraj,
and he
I
was brought down.
requesting you this focus to
$17 trillion.
We are going to the
US.
health one. This
No,
health
I think
only
Because
one
that
subject.
is area of
Please, I request you.
specialization.
Kumar Rakesh
How
ji.
simple as that.
Can
Why
I
don't
think
we
you
talk
know,
on the
because
topic?
it's becoming,
I request you. We should focus on topic, please.
yes. So
I only request you.
may I
There
come,
is
may I come
every
in?
subsection has the 10, 20, 50 programs we can
Rakesh
make.
ji, can I come in?
Please, please.
So
After
I
that,
I just need 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes, I
Please.
just need 2 minutes, as I have been also very regularly tweeting that the role of China in the spread of this pandemic has to be questioned by the global community. And I'm
absolutely.
very glad to see that the US president has acceded to that demand. And as you rightly mentioned, that the intelligence community has been asked to submit a report in the next 90 days. But here I would also like to say that there were certain gain of function research which was
Yes.
funded even by the US in Wuhan.
Yes, that's true.
So therefore,
That's
US
true.
also had to understand that there are certain responsibilities and accountabilities. And coming back to the role of President Biden, I must remind our distinguished guest here that his relationship with US goes back as far as 2008, when he was chairing the committee on the Indo US civil nuclear program, and he visited India in 2008. And if you remember, in 2014, he was the one who got up in the US Congress to laud Prime Minister Modi's address to the joint session of the US Congress. So President Biden is very much committed to India. And let's also not forget that is how he chose that Indo-US American lady to be her vice presidential candidate. So therefore, it is not only about Indians, but the Indians' role in US itself is very, very significant towards their society, towards their economy, towards their polity. And therefore, India-US relationship is absolutely building strong. And there's no reason we see that this is not going to go further and beyond.
May I come in?
Okay. Divya Raji, just as a legal aspect, and India and America is talking about the IPR. I think so many discussion has already went on. I think Ajay Sharma is aware that, and Alok ji also aware, Ranjit ji also aware. So there are so many part of discussion for the both sides. The delegation come and go. What is the status and what do you expect from the US secretary visit, and as well as how do you analyze IPR? The lawyers should be allowed to India, and our lawyers should go US, and not IPR. There's so many issues, legal issues. As a law expert, thus I can just expect inputs from you, please. Thank you.
It's not particularly about US, but there is a lot of discussion going on about foreign firms being allowed to operate in India. But till now, there is, the discussions are on, but no decisions have been taken as yet. And as from the lawyer community, I don't think there is too much of support from the lawyer community about foreign firms operating directly from India without participation of without that. They can operate but not with 100% equity. So there is. Till now, I don't think that the discussions have reached anywhere. So let's see. We are still in the waiting stage as far as the foreign firms are concerned. Here.
Okay. So thank you, Alok ji. In the respect of the all just whatever discussion point by point, subject by subject, just we are talking about that Afghanistan issue, and do you think the Afghanistan issue, how when the US has just withdraw the troops from Afghanistan, and already Mr. Biden already just expressed his view, okay, this is the country of Afghanistan, they should think about that, whatever they do, they are free to do it. After that, just a Blinken visit, do you expect any statement and any move from this visit?
In the press conference, it was made very clear. Like it is, what we cannot do right now in 21st century is talk about why President Johnson was, dubious about sending wheat to India and PL 480. We cannot start questioning every day, on what basis the US-Indian relationships are there. The relationships are there, we know we have our interest, has their interest, but there are points of intersection where we both agree. So we take them forward from there. It is not that India needs us, or India is more strong, or US is, it's at times it sounds very, I don't know how even to react to it. Nobody needs nobody. I mean, in case, let's say tomorrow a country disappears, what will happen? Let's say the global warming and everything, country disappears, it will not make a difference to anybody at all. So when we talk on bilateral relationships, we have to talk about the point of intersection which both the countries have. And I think United States of America and India have lots of places. We have a diaspora connect, lots. There was a something done. I'm going haywire from what your question is, but everybody is. We're talking Indo-US relationship, and we're suddenly talking about oxygen in Delhi. I mean, what are we doing here? That gets me out of focus. But coming down to Afghanistan, it is very clear that the speculation that if US removes the soldiers from there, US is not going to go away. India is not going to go away. Technologically speaking, US can still take care of the Taliban, sitting in the US, because technology is such, we can do it. India has invested about $3 billion there, and we are not going to go away. Do you think United States of America is so stupid that after 20 years and having so many people killed and so many, billions spent in Afghanistan, they're just going to leave it? What is important is we have experimented in Iraq, destroyed a country, and then nothing has happened onto it. Now, Afghanistan, the new experiment is there that it has to be, Taliban has to come and sit on the table. It is very clear from the press conference. If you listen to Jaishankar ji, speaks in a very different way, which is more intellectual time, but the secretary was very clear in what he said. He said, we make mistakes, but we are transparent about it. It could not have been more humble than this. And what is important is that now Taliban, they are inviting with both their hands, come and sit. And this Taliban is not the Taliban we have seen in the past. Let's say they win the war, which I doubt. But if they win the war, tomorrow, will we take back Afghanistan to the medieval ages? What will happen to the position of women? We are talking about a progressive society, and we are in 21st century. So they are also looking for, recognition. Let's say tomorrow they are there, but nobody will recognize that government. That is also important for Taliban. Let's say if they come to power. The best would be that there is a mix of, and this is what United States of America and India is looking at. And both the countries, technically we have, we share border with Afghanistan, but that is in POK. Now, the problem is that neither United States nor India is immediate. It's not the immediate neighbor. So we have, Tajikistan, we have other nations. Iran is there, Russia is there, Pakistan is there, China is there, even Iran is there. So, what I'm trying to say is that the immediate problem with Taliban would be theirs. It will come, it will bounce on India, but it will bounce on America, but it will be a different thing. So what they are aiming at is helping them in all the aspects which are necessary in support, which could be also military support that has been, very clearly stated, so that Afghan people, they come up with a government which is by the Afghanis and for the Afghanis. It's as simple as that.
Okay, thank you. So I'll take Rakesh Tiwari ji. Ranjit ji, on Afghan issue, just how the US has done the last days. Now, you think that there is any change the US stand on the Afghan issue?
You're asking me?
Yeah, Ranjit ji.
Ranjit
ji.
See, in the US policy towards Afghanistan, in the latest policy towards Afghanistan has been a real setback for India. See, all the development projects that India continued in Afghanistan worth more than $3 billion was possible only due to protective umbrella provided by United States. Now that United States has withdrawn its forces from Afghanistan, Indian development programmers cannot stay there, cannot survive there. And nobody else can survive there because not only United States, but all its allied partners, the NATO countries, have withdrawn their forces. And in the absence of any international military support, the Afghanistan government cannot survive there. Taliban forces are moving ahead with the full backing of Pakistan and indirect backing of China. So the Taliban is going to take control of that country sooner or later. And in that case, it will be very difficult for India to continue in Afghanistan. That's a major difference of policy between India and US. And that's a big problem for India, how to coordinate with US in Afghanistan.
Thank you.
Okay,
May I?
Tiwari. Yeah.
Well, I will partially agree with Mr. Ranjit, as well as partially I will agree with the Alok ji. Definitely, US is not there to, they are withdrawing their troops for sure for the domestic reasons, but they are not there to invest. They have invested so much, and they will leave Afghanistan in Taliban's hand. Definitely, number one. And as India is approaching, I think this transition has started long back, because even the Trump administration came in power when they said we are going to withdraw it too, and even Obama was saying that. So India's entrance in the whole Afghan phenomena, this has not started today. Now India, in my understanding, Bharat or Hindustan, again I'm saying India, which I don't like to say, Bharat and Hindustan, they is approaching slowly over there. Not slowly, is inside there. Definitely, this is going to be very interesting. It is already interesting that while China is welcoming Taliban, this alliance has been already formed. China, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. This alliance has been already formed. Now, next question comes, and we know that Bharat, we are talking about at the same time America and the border countries of Afghanistan is there. How it is going to play it? It will be played. It will be interesting to watch. We have to be very careful when we talk about Bharat, when we talk about Hindustan. Very careful that what it might become once the Taliban take over the power, which I very much doubt that they have to come on table. They can, and Bharat will not let them walk in freely. Okay, you know what? Nobody will let them do it. Neither before, not now. Because we all know the history. It is not too far long. I'm not talking about 50 years back. We are talking about 9/11. Nobody has forgotten. We are talking about Osama bin Laden. Nobody has forgotten. And whatever happened in between time. So it will be very interesting. At the same time, as I said, the question mark is there. Same time, Blinken is in New Delhi. Same time, Mullah Badar is in China with the Chinese foreign minister is there. So my humble submission is this. Definitely, I 100% agree that Bharat and US relationship is going to be more stronger, because of they both need each other. They both understand each other. And other countries, they come to us to become a friend or to join us, because when we become strong, and Bharat has shown his strength, and I believe in future it is going to be more stronger. Thank you.
Okay. So actually, whatever just now, as a Leslie Tripathi says, he was in the network problem, and Ms. Tripathi, just how she is author.
Is Ms. Tripathi is in India, Bharat, or US?
No. She is in Mumbai, and she is a eminent writer, author. So just how we see that cultural aspect on the Indo-US relation.
So the US officially declared its support for India's membership in a reformed and expanded United Nations Security Council. India was declared a major defense partner, a status approved by the US Congress, which made it easier to share advanced and critical technology to India to strengthen defense ties. This was really crucial, since it was for the first time that any country was given this status. Outside of the US traditional alliance system, in August 2016, the two sides signed the agreement, the first of the three foundational pacts for deeper military cooperation. Cooperation with India to fight terrorism was also strengthened. So it's such a huge bliss for India with the US policy and the support.
Okay, so thank you. Just as a last round to just 10 seconds to the every panelist. Just after with this the Blinken visit, this is third visit of the any US premier. So how did they think the relation will grow and it will be fruitful for the both nation and world perspective? Divyaji, from Divyaji we start. Unmute yourself, please. Thank you.
Like I said, the visit is definitely very significant, and as one of the panelists said, it was long awaited. But because of the pandemic situation and all, this could not happen earlier. But now that it has happened, and the kind of issues that they are going to discuss, they are very significant issues. So definitely the visit is very, very important. And let's hope that something really good comes out of it. We are really very hopeful that the relationship between India and US gets further strengthened by this visit. And definitely, I'm very hopeful about it.
Vandana ji.
Yeah, it's a need of the time for both the nations, to be honest. Swabhiman rahe, abhiman na aaye, na Bharat ko, na America ko.
Yeah, thank you so nicely. Good. Ajay Sarva ji.
So I strongly believe that this is a compelling proposition, and India and US relationship is only going to go stronger based on the common grounds we have, and therefore I'm looking forward to a very, very stronger relationship between India and US in the future.
Thank you. Alok ji.
Indo-US relationship is not new. We've seen the downside of it in the the Cold War situation. I think now the shift is there, and Indo-US relationship is on very firm grounds, and it will only grow from here. It cannot go back, because the interest, the will of the people, the will of the government is in synergy in both the countries. So it has to go forward, and it cannot go backward anymore.
Ranjit ji. Ranjit ji.
Yes, I agree with previous speakers. It's Indo-US relationship is mutual beneficial for both the countries. Both the countries are going to take it forward in the current geostrategic atmosphere also. Improved strategic partnership between both the countries are need of the hour. I agree with previous speakers. Thank you.
Dr. Dheeraj. Unmute yourself, please.
I think technology transfer for renewable energy, because the next 2 decades are not for oil and gas, but renewable energy. Second, I think, is genomics and healthcare transfer of technology and building institutions and infrastructure so that people can start their own startups in India instead of Silicon Valley. So that's
Thank you. So nice. Great. Tiwari ji.
Well, all good. US and Canada, we are always together, and I believe that this relationship will continue. And for the geopolitical reason, as Ranjit ji has mentioned, everybody has their interest. We all go for our interest, not somebody else's interest. So
nice.
Bharat's interest is there, Canada's interest is there, US interest is there.
We're talking, sir, Indo-US. We're putting the Canada. This is not.
Where we are North America. Trust me.
Now you are
all ourselves. Yes,
okay.
we call
North America. North America.
Yeah, you are showing that just a lotus from the USA. Great. So
Canada, don't please. Canada is the second largest country in the world. Okay,
sir, you're running up time, sir. Already 10 minutes late. Ms. Tripathi, last intake here, please.
I think India is leading with its global policy and diplomacy, and it's a great time. I am very excited for what future holds for India and US. So
Nice.
Yeah.
So nice, all of you, and just you already shared your view, this important view on the every aspect of just the Indo-US relation, the legal and the political and trade and the European perspective and the whole perspective on medical and statistical practice and something Canadian perspectives also, North American practice. Let me correct it. So thank you all of you, and just you participate in this wonderful show, Indo-US relation with the new perspective, and just see and share and subscribe the Global Governance News TV. And thanks to all of you. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Namaskar.
Thank you, Rakesh.
Thank you, Rakesh.